Whoa.
To stay, baby.
Should not
Baby
be doing
girl,
that.
I wanna see and feel your emotion. Show me your unconditional love and devotion. Take away my irritations like Birdie Salone and calamine lotion. A little mix of candy. I wanna sip on that secret potion. I wanna know what you're suggesting. Take time, speak slow. What you said sounds very interesting. I really appreciate the time you're investing. So let's get close like wrestling. No time for resting. Now I got hold of you. You was on fire, I stopped broke for you. In 30 years, you can look back and I'll say I got old for you. And lies, I got told of you. All those things I got told to do. All those things I got stole for you. Blatantly. I came here for love. Someone to hold me down. I won't give it up. No, I want you to reach out. I came here for love. I came here for love. I came here for love. I want you to reach out. YOLO, YOLO, I'll never give them my last Rolo. I've been doing this on a solo, and I run things just like N'Golo. Yes, my Manolo, I'm fresh like a polo, fresh to death like a cholo. I'm on a ball like Colo, like Cracky, I'm bigger than Mikey. I'll never buy shit off a pikey. Is it ridiculous that I'll be less conspicuous if I was white and my hair was spiky? No lighty, no likey, I wear Adidas, not Nike. And it's been about 15 years, but the doctors are still trying to question my psyche. I'm in charge like a nanny, I'm blowing up just like a Pakistani. I'm a G like Danny, and I'm dirtier than your girlfriend's fanny. Old type DT and money, my man are straight uncanny. And since the passing of my granny, I've been more messed up than a tranny, if you get my meaning. I'm not in a thieving, but in the evening I run upon you in a state of grieving and take exactly what you're receiving. There'll be no time for retrieving or deceiving, cause I'll leave the whole place heaving when I do something that you won't be believing, and make sure that there ain't no one leaving.
Shout out, shout out, shout out. Hey guys, how's it going? So guys, let's talk about NXT TakeOver in your house. Hold on while I just change the picture in the background so that I can bring you up something that you can actually visually look at. I apologize for those audio issues at the start. I always forget that this mic can be quite temperamental, and of course when you're live it puts you under immense pressure to be able to get it sorted. At this point I don't actually even know if you guys can hear me or not, so I'm going to double check right now. Yes, there we are. But yeah, shout out to all you guys as I bring the stream to life. Shout out to Heavy Hammer, who was here a minute ago, just passing by and saying hello. hopefully we can get a few more people to pass by. There have been some changes to the channel, as you are seeing there. If your screen is big enough, or if you turn it onto its side, you'll be able to see that I do finally have advertising, because I have finally got monetized. Shout out to YouTube. I don't know how this thing works. I just know that I have to go over some of my videos to find out how to be able to get them with monetizing, etc. It's just something I'm going to have to pay attention to over the next few days. I wish one of my videos from a few days ago could have maybe have got monetizing before, because I got 30k views on it. But that's a story for a different time. And of course, as you guys know, there's plenty of views that my channel is going to get going forward. I've got absolutely every faith in that. But yeah, let's talk about this NXT show. Of course, I didn't see this live. I was tired last night. It had been a long day after watching football, etc. I was up with Tyrexy Gaming from early in the day. So I just decided to lock off and watch it with open eyes today, so I could give you guys some better words and better feedback in more detail, rather than just giving you the shorts that I would have given you. A lot of people have been missing the shorts. I apologise if you can hear the traffic in the background, as well as if you do hear at some point the fan that is in the background, because it's switched off for now, but it may end up getting switched on at some point, because it is quite warm here in the UK at the moment. But yeah, I didn't watch this episode live simply because I just didn't want to watch it half asleep. So I decided to watch it today, and I did watch it earlier on. I'm not going to lie, there were some moments which I did kind of breeze past, but, you know, the main matches, the ladder match and the five-way men's match, I've seen as much of those matches as I needed to see. I'm going to try and run you through this as best as I can, guys. As I say, the wrestling recently has become to that point where if I don't feel it at the time, I'll probably just do a review about it after, rather than wasting my time sitting through it 3 hours at the time, and then later on in the night I feel annoyed, and I feel, you know, just that point where there has been a few times with WWE recently especially, and one or two episodes, sorry if you can hear my couch there, it's a very creaky couch, a few episodes of NWA Power as well, they've left me a little bit annoyed, if I'm honest, where, you know, that's not the way that I want to feel after I've finished watching wrestling. I don't want to go home, or, you know, as so to speak, go to bed annoyed. But, you know, there's not much you can really do about it. Let me just change the thing, because I know that I need to put the right hashtags. But yeah, the opening match of the pay-per-view was the six-man winner-takes-all. Bronson Reed, the North American champion, and MSK, the tag team champions, put up all of the gold against Legado del Fantasma, which is, of course, Santos Escobar and his crew, the tag team that are with him. I haven't yet picked up on those guys' names yet. This was a good match. It was high fly because I expected it to be that, but of course with Bronson Reed in the match, he was the power and the strength in this match, which was good to throw in, you know, just a big behemoth like him in the match. For me though, I'll say it was a little bit silly because he was having to sell to wrestlers that I just don't think in a singles match that he should be selling to. But you could tell he knew his part in this match, and it was a pretty decent match between these six. MSK, I expect them to put on a decent show, and everything in these groups of people, the different pairings, has shown that this match should have been good. There was the traditional, or should I say typical, diving chaos where they just keep diving one after the other. It's just not for me, guys. That kind of stuff is not for me. And at that point there, I did kind of just zone out and start taking a few notes and saying whatever. But I'm going to skip to the result of this match. And MSK and Bronson Reed were able to successfully defend their championships. Like I said, it was a fast-paced match with Bronson as the heavy, breaking up the dives and breaking up other things. You know, a lot of the diving and high-flying sort of wrestling technique didn't really work on him. I don't really know where they're going to go forward from this. I'd like to see these guys all be paired off with different people. But I don't know, it still seems like they're in the middle of this feud rather than being at the end of it, if you know what I mean. Overall, I'm just going to say, guys, this was a decent match. It wouldn't have been out of place if this would have just been a normal 6-man tag on television. There was nothing special about this match. It didn't seem like the 3 people that were challenging cared that much about challenging for the championships. But remember that these guys are less experienced than some of the more professional wrestlers that are out there. It's not just about how good you are in the ring, as you heard me taking a drink there. It's not just about how good you are in the ring. It's also to do with how you make yourself look and seem while you're in the ring, even if you're going to lose. And it was almost apparent to me that, you know, early on in the match, there was no way that there was going to be any screw jobs or title changes in this match. So for me, like I say, it was a decent match, half decent match. I'm not going to say anything more than that. There's a lot of fans out there that will probably like this, but don't really know what you want me to say. This is the kind of stuff that maybe if they'd have had these two as a very, I'm not going to say quick, but a quickish singles match for the North American Championship, where Bronson Reed squashed Santos in about 5 or 6 minutes, and then the tag team went at it for about 9 or 10, 12 minutes, rather than having one single match, not singles, but a single match, a 6-man tag match, which was, you know, 15 to 20 minutes long. I don't really know, guys. Like, I don't want to crap on this, but it wasn't the best for me, not for me anyway. I will speak about, though, and yeah, like I said, the good guys won. MSK and Bronson Reed was able to defeat Legado del Fantasma in this 6-man tag. I will say, the fans being back in the crowd, that more fans, there weren't loads, obviously, there, not as much as you will get at a Dynamite taping at the moment, or, you know, even on some of these independent shows that I'm now seeing, but there were more fans in the Performance Center, and that was good to see. They were making more noise, they were making more, you know, it was more, felt more passionate and more involved with the fans, especially in the 2 big matches. But yeah, you let me know, guys, what you think of the first match, the opening match in that 6-man. Shout out to Christopher Mace. You know, I heard some of his thoughts earlier on. I'm new to NXT, and you have to forgive me, guys. I am new to NXT, but my patience with professional wrestling is very short. So when I do see certain things, like some of the things that I've seen in this match, it does kind of switch off my brain, and then I do become quite frustrated with the way that the show is being booked or whatever, you know. So I'm just being honest and saying maybe less of this 6-man high-flying tag team match, and maybe more of Bronson Reed just squashing and destroying people. That's what I'd like to see anyway. Maybe people will just say that that's just a preference thing. Maybe that is, as I double check to make sure that you can still hear what I'm saying, guys. Yeah. So yeah, we move on to the women's match, which was, why have I got this wrong? It was Xia Lee versus Mercedes Martinez. I thought this was going to be for the NXT Women's Champion. For some reason, I had it down in my head that Xia Lee was the NXT Women's Champion, but that was, of course, previously it was Io Shirai. Like I said, I'm new to NXT, so I had the names mixed up of who was the champion and who wasn't. But of course, I know now that Raquel Gonzalez is the NXT Women's Champion. This match between Mercedes Martinez and Xia Lee, it was one of the better women's matches that I've seen since I've been watching NXT. There was nothing wrong with this match. And if I'm perfectly honest, I'm going to say this now. These 2 women, I know Mercedes Martinez was moved up to the main roster, but with all this Alexa Bliss stuff going off in WWE, this shocks me. I didn't realise that these women were as good as that they are in NXT. Oh yeah, shout out to Hilda DC. 1 second. You know what? Shout out to Hilda DC. Thank you for reminding me of that, Hilda. Let me just change something, guys. It's because it's new to me, so I'm forgetting to do that, Hilda. Shout out to you. Shout out to Hilda DC for the heads up there. I have to remember that I have to remember to put monetization on these videos, man. But it's not a big deal anyway, guys. Like I say, it's only really been me refreshing the page so far because it keeps kicking me out of the stream. But yeah, shout out to Hilda DC. Working for, isn't it? We're working to get that money and get that paper. And there's me just completely forgetting that you have to even select that. I think I need to, this in the settings somewhere, there's probably something that makes it so that it's auto. You get me? So yeah, if everybody at some point can just refresh at some point and run the ads, you know, I'd be appreciative of that. The ads are now up and running, guys. Yeah, shout out to you. Shout out to Hilda DC for letting me know that. This is what I mean, guys. I'm so new to this process here. It's new. It's new, guys. It's new. It is new. Like, if you've just joined, I wouldn't refresh now. I'd wait a couple of minutes if you can, and then refresh, and the ads should be up and running. But we'll see anyway what happens. But you've got to understand as well, the way that these things work is, it's more to do with when you put the live up, and then you leave the live after you've ended it. That's when the monetization kicks in. I realize that a lot of people who do live streaming, they're not getting paid as much as they get when they just upload a 35-minute video. Like, you know, if Tyrone uploads a premiere at like 45, 50 minutes, he gets more ad revenue from the premiere than he will do from people coming to his live. I don't know how it works, guys. I've not yet figured it out, but there are a lot of streamers out there that are annoyed at that. The fact that you can get more money off YouTube from doing like premieres than you can from doing actual live streams. That don't make sense to me, guys. And that sounds a little bit convoluted if you ask me. Right, let me bring back the picture and let me make sure that the stream is still up and running. If you get kicked, guys, then just refresh. You know what my stream's like when I start clicking about on the main screen. Right, let me just double tap that so it brings back the full screen. Apologies if you're not getting a full screen right now, guys. You should be getting a full screen in a few seconds' time. You also notice I've actually got a new overlay as well. That's that you'll have to do. You'll have to wait like 10 or 15 minutes to get ads now. Like, I don't know what. You know what YouTube is like, Hilda. You can't say anything bad about it, but we can't say anything good because we don't know how this thing works. It just works randomly. Now, I'm sure there's a way that I can just turn every video with monetizing, but I haven't figured that out yet. So I'm having to singly go by every single video, click on every video and make sure that it's got monetizing on it before that I release it or before. But because this is a live, you can't really set it so that it's got monetizing until after you've streamed it or until when you're already live, if you know what I mean. That's a weird one, that is, guys. I'm going to have to figure out how to do live streaming automatically with monetized videos rather than just doing it with... Because I had to actually select it then. Whereas if I did a live stream... if I was to do a live stream... if I was to do a premiere, I could automatically do it. Yeah, shout out to you, Hilda. Shout out to you for letting me know that as well about the advertising and that. I mean, I would have put it on advertising after the video was up anyway, but you know what, it makes sense. Like, there's no point in being live. Oh, I've looked at it now anyway, guys. What it's saying is my ads are limited on this because it doesn't know how long this is yet. So that's why sometimes, like, you'll be watching Tyrone's stream and you'll get an ad pop up when you click on, but then when you click off and click back on, you can sometimes click back on and without an advert, but you can sometimes click on and it'll give you an advert. It's just YouTube being unpredictable, guys. We don't know what's going on. But yeah, shout out to Heavy Hammer as well in the chat. But yeah, back to the NXT. Like I said, are the ads working now, Heavy Hammer? Did you run an ad there? Because I don't yet know if the ads are actually even running. But yeah, the women of NXT. I need to speak about this very briefly, guys. These women are better than some of the women that are on the main WWE roster. It's so obvious that there are it's so obvious that these wrestlers are of a higher quality, like especially the 4 women that are in these matches tonight or last night are better than multiple wrestlers that are on the main WWE roster. And that's not saying that they're bad wrestlers, because they're not. Apologies if you're buffering, guys. I've just noticed. Why am I buffering on one? Why am I buffering? Is this something to do with the ads? Because the bitrate of the stream is fine. Oh, it's because of the ads. Right, guys, it's trying to force people to watch ads now. This is what I mean about YouTube. It's actually trying to force people to watch ads now. Because it started buffering unnecessarily on my screen. And then I refreshed, and guess what, guys? Ad pops up. And now, of course, there's no buffering on the video anymore. Yeah, man, I know Mark Henry's in AEW. Like, I did talk about that on a previous video, Heavy Hammer, if you wanted to listen to my thoughts on that. I did talk about Mark Henry in AEW before. But yeah, shout out to everyone who will run the ads now. Shout out to everyone who's in the background. Shout out to everybody who's part of the stream. Don't forget to hit that like button, guys. You've got to do that for me now. I'm going to have to start asking that. But yeah, the women of NXT, for those that are unaware, these are better than some of the women of WWE. WWE women are now getting, and I'm not going to use the word stale, I'm going to use the word overbooked. Women like Charlotte and women like Nia Jax, they are being overly used in WWE, and there are women that are rotting in NXT, and they should not be in NXT. This match between Xia Lee and Mercedes Martinez was a high-level women's wrestling match. And shout out to all the female wrestlers out there that are just trying to grind out a career in professional wrestling. But these are women that are setting the bar as regards to where you need to be in professional wrestling. It wasn't a masterclass of in-ring wrestling. It was just 2 women who know how to wrestle. But the finish of this match was not predictable. The outcome was predictable. I didn't think that Mercedes Martinez was going to win this match. Although it did seem over the weeks that I couldn't tell if she was heel or if Xia Lee was heel or if they were both heel. It seems that they both are heel. But yeah, Xia Lee was able to defeat Mercedes Martinez in this match. After the match, Mercedes attacked Xia Lee with cheers. She also attacked Tian Shaw. Now, I was confused about this whole situation because this other woman gets involved, this mystery woman called Mei Ying or Mi Ying, something like this. She gets involved. She attacks Mercedes. They fight. She gets the better of her. I had no idea what was going on here, guys. I just knew this was much better than the Alexa Bliss doll segment that we get on Monday Night Raw every single week, and this was much better than some of the women's matches that I've seen on SmackDown over the last few weeks. So I'm going to be perfectly honest, and I'm going to say, WWE, you need to address this situation of the lack of stars that are on your show. There are stars being wasted in NXT. There are stars that will never be able to be stars on your main roster. You probably need to start swapping some of these around. Why can't NXT get a draft? Why are these people so desperate to be in NXT? Surely if they start to mix things up, maybe some of these guys will want to be utilized better. There's something not right within this company right now. Just by looking at the people that are on the screen right now, guys. Just by looking at these stars that you're seeing in this picture on the screen right now, guys, these are not stars that should be in your third brand. These are not stars that should be on WCW Saturday Night in 1998, late 1998. They should not be in the third brand. I don't care if the third brand's got pay-per-view. I don't care. I don't care if this has got pay-per-view. It's about time that WWE started to address this situation and say, right, at least once every pay-per-view, these guys get to fight on the main show. Like, let's have an NXT match on Raw once a week, and let's have an NXT match on SmackDown once a week. And then you start integrating these wrestlers. Stop trying to pretend like these guys live in this parallel world to WWE, because they don't. Either treat NXT the same as WWE SmackDown and WWE Raw, or you have to understand that people like me will just switch off and stop watching. I don't want to see guys getting overlooked, and I don't want to see guys getting wasted. I am new to this brand, but this brand will soon push me away because it looks Bush League. It looks like Impact to me, but Impact is better. Because if I'm seeing guys like Moose and Kenny Omega, and I know that Impact is Impact's main show, I accept that. When I'm seeing Nick Aldis and I'm seeing those guys, I accept because that's their main show. If I was seeing Nick Aldis on episodes of AEW Dark every single week, or Dark Elevation, but never seeing this guy on NWA or on AEW main show, anything like that, or same thing with guys like Moose, and same thing with guys like, you know, when they've had these talent exchanges between the NWA, if I was just seeing Serena Deeb on AEW Dark Elevation and I'd never seen her on pay-per-view or on AEW Dynamite, I would probably be laughing and saying, what the hell's going on here? So if you're going to claim that NXT is a lower show than Raw and SmackDown, but we all know that there are stars in NXT, maybe it's time that some of these stars started to get featured on Raw and on SmackDown, but as NXT superstars. No more of this, oh, they've been moved up to the main roster and now we're going to treat them like shit. No, let's bring them to the main roster. And I don't even know how many times that I can swear, but I have to be careful on this, yeah? Let's bring them up to the main roster and let's make them the stars of NXT, but within the main roster, because I'm sick of this nonsense within WWE at this point now. There's no point, like I said, it would have been like when Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb came over from the NWA, or when Nick Aldis came over from the NWA. It'd be like these guys getting, they're only allowed to be on AEW Dark Elevation that's on YouTube. There's no point. Yes, you would accept maybe 1 or 2 appearances from these characters on Dark or Dark Elevation, but if they're only ever seen on the third-rate show, at some point people have to make a decision, and I'm one of these people. And at this point, Impact, NXT, and NWA, they are all very close to the chopping block. Because the problem is if I cut off Raw or SmackDown, it cuts off. I can't then watch the pay-per-views. So to keep Raw, I have to keep SmackDown as well. And I'd rather watch Raw and SmackDown because of the pay-per-views than watch NXT, Impact, and NWA at this point. Because I get more views from WWE Raw and SmackDown, and I get more views from the pay-per-views of WWE. I have to be a YouTuber for this moment and say, as much as I like NXT, as much as I like Impact, and as much as I like NWA, because NWA, as I've stated, is a solid third for me. I can't keep watching these lower brands for no reason. That's why I don't watch New Japan. That's why I don't, well, the Americanized version of New Japan. And that's why I don't watch MLW. I understand what New Japan is in Japan, but there's no point. I'm trying to translate that to English people, and I can barely understand what's going on myself. I'm not going to do that. This is the problem that I've got with the whole of wrestling. But when you're talking mainstream, I have to base it on mainstream, guys. Which is the most mainstream wrestling? I'm not just going to watch Impact because I like, you know, W. Morrissey better than a lot of the other wrestlers that I like in wrestling. His character is one of the top characters that I look forward to seeing on a weekly basis. But he's having to go to the wayside so that I can watch other stuff. And it's just not going to happen anymore. And as I said, if things like this continue to happen, something will have to change with WWE. And as I said, unfortunately for NXT is going to go out of the window first, because I can't get rid of Raw and SmackDown because of the fact of what they are. I'm not just going to focus on watching NXT without watching Raw and SmackDown, because you know, doubtly, as soon as I stop watching Raw and SmackDown, these wrestlers will all get put up to the main roster. So yeah, I'm moving on anyway, guys. I'm moving on. The women that was fighting after the match, I've got no idea. I'll have to do more research on them, and I'll bring you more as the NXT program takes place tomorrow. There was a ladder match between LA Knight, the former Eli Drake, and Cameron Grimes, the former Trevor Lee from Impact. It's weird to see Impact Wrestling stars basically becoming the main stars of NXT. You know, a few years ago, I remember when WWE fans would bury Impact stars, even AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, Robert Roode, Eric Young, James Storm, etc. They would bury the TNA originals. They buried the Impact Wrestling stars. They buried the stars like EC3 and Eli Drake that went to the loving arms of Impact Wrestling when they were being treated like, or after they were treated like garbage by the WWE. And look at them now. Look at where these characters are now. LA Knight versus Cameron Grimes. Ladder match. The winner becomes the, I believe now it's the NXT $1 million champion, but it probably just is called the $1 million championship. Now, this is once again another one of these situations which I'm looking at and I'm saying, surely WWE is not stupid enough to just keep LA Knight on NXT. Surely he's going to be elevated to the main roster as the $1 million champion, so they can have something else to look forward to, especially while we know that Lashley and Roman Reigns are probably going to be the champions all the way until next WrestleMania, if not at least the Royal Rumble next year. I can't see any of these guys. There's no one to defeat these guys, by the way. So I would like to see LA Knight and Kross head to, or whoever wins the 5-way match at the end, head to the main roster and defend their championships against guys from the main roster. I would like to see that. But to this match, this ladder match was, for me, the main event. This is what I came to see. They did not disappoint. It's weird to think that these guys were even miles apart when they were in Impact. You know, Trevor Lee was more of a X Division champion wrestler, and Eli Drake was, of course, in the World Championship picture, Grand Championship, World Championship picture in Impact at the time. They put on a hell of a display here. I wanted this to be one of those kinds of ladder matches where they used the ladder more as just a ladder, like only have one ladder, but unfortunately they went all the way with this and they had it as a traditional, sorry about that, a traditional style of ladder, of what we know as a ladder match, rather than what I thought it was going to be, which was the Razor and Shawn Michaels style ladder match. They did do a bit of that, you know, having the ladder just in the ring, waiting. You know, like a lot of people say Shawn Michaels had a match with a ladder at WrestleMania while Razor Ramon was in the match with him. I wouldn't agree with that. Razor was in that match as well, and these two were in the match as well, and they did put on a show. But I would have liked this to have just been based around one ladder. But from what I see, they were using not loads of ladders, because one ladder was painted in gold. So it was obvious that that ladder was going to come into the match more than the other ladders. And this ladder was considerably, built a bit more sturdier than the other ladders. So they could get away with this. Like, if you remember the original ladders in the WWE, guys, you'll know what I'm on about when I say they were built a little bit more thicker, and they only had one of them at ringside that you could use in those original ladder matches. I would have really have liked to have seen them fight around the ladder, etc., etc. But you can't complain when it comes to these kind of matches, because you know that these... Oh, shout out to Brian in the chat. I didn't even see you there, you know, Brian. Sorry, mate. Shout out to you in the chat. I did not even see you sandwiched in between a few comments. Shout out to you. Right, yeah. Let me just take a look. I just need to take a look at something in the background, guys, while you guys are watching. I'm just going to look at a little 1-minute clip of this ladder match, because I'm almost certain that they started the match off with the ladder just being utilised, but then after a short while, yeah, they did, and then they entered the black ladder into the match. I would have liked it to have just been this $1 million style gold-painted ladder that Stu Bennett kept trying to make out was weighed actually the same amount of gold as gold. But I'll be perfectly honest and say that a golden ladder wouldn't weigh as much as a ladder in the WWE would weigh less, whether it was made of solid gold or not, Stu. It would be made of this painted gold is not, this gold that WWE are portraying would be probably like 9 karat gold. It would be very weak. That's why the runs of the ladder are silver. You know what I mean? They knew it wouldn't be believable. But then I would have liked them to have at least tried to pretend that this ladder was just a one big golden piece of ladder. But they didn't. They didn't. The commentator was talking like it was. But you could clearly see that the ladder was... Oh, no, you know what? I'm talking absolute nonsense. They did paint the full ladder. They actually just put what looks like diamonds on the edge of the ladder to make it look like silver. So the ladder actually was gold and diamond. I am talking crap. And they did use the ladder, of course. That was the ladder that came into the finish of the match. But I would have liked to have seen that match just involve one ladder. Eli Drake / of course, LA Knight managed to win the match. He climbed the ladder and he is the $1 million champion, the NXT $1 million champion for now. Like I said, I'm not too happy that the NXT that the $1 million championship has been brought back into WWE. Never mind NXT. Like, I just don't know what place that this belt, and I don't want this belt to become the 24/7 type of championship. I mean, obviously it's got more prestige already than the 24/7 championship, but you guys know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that. I mean, I don't want this belt to become a parody belt and a mockery of a belt. Even back in the day when Ted DiBiase still had the belt, they still kind of used this belt like crap towards the end. And it would pain me to see this belt not used properly. I want to see this belt finally used like it was used when it was first a championship. So it's practically a heavyweight championship belt, but it's an equivalent of that. And then obviously, you know, the winner defends it as a heavyweight championship belt. The only problem that this has got, and I noticed that people were complaining about this online, and I'll talk about this briefly now. People were complaining online that this should have been a match after this pay-per-view that took place between potentially, say, LA Knight and maybe like Kyle O'Reilly, if you figure in the finish of the main event of this show. It should have been between two people who, or maybe even Cameron Grimes and that person, because it should have been figured in between two people who had actually gone for the world championship or the NXT, you know, world title, NXT title, because it doesn't really make sense that you've got two people that haven't actually attempted to win the big one in this company, but for some reason they are angry and wanting to be the $1 million champion. You know, it's a hard selling point, guys. The original, anyone who remembers the original reasoning for Ted DiBiase becoming the becoming the $1 million champion was because he was basically trying to buy, or he did buy, the world championship from Andre the Giant, and then the company stripped him of the championship, and because he wasn't actually a contender to that, they took it away from him, so he just decided to make his own belt. And it's a very clever idea of having a secondary world title on one show. But why on NXT? Surely this should have been on Raw or SmackDown, and surely Eli Drake / LA Knight will get to NXT. But yeah, Eli climbed the ladder, won the match. It was a good match overall. I'm not going to crap on the match. This was the best match of the night as regards to watchable, because you've got to understand, a 5-way match, you have to pay a lot of attention to it. There was also a spot in this match where Cameron Grimes jumped from the rigging, like round the outside of the ring. There were multiple death-defying stunts. But yeah, in the end, Ted DiBiase kisses the belt, gives it to Eli Drake, and Eli Drake is the $1 million man and the $1 million champion. So I guess we'll see what's going forward. Maybe we'll get what I thought that we were going to get, which is the return of Ted DiBiase Jr. Maybe he's getting in shape now, Maybe he's just done with wrestling completely. I don't know. But I'm going to move on anyway, guys, to the next segment. I mean, I was going to talk about NXT overall, guys, but I have kind of spoke about NXT overall as the review has gone along, so I'm not going to do a segment. I was going to dedicate at least a 5 or 10 minute segment talking about the overall NXT, but I've kind of done that as I've gone along, haven't I? So I'm going to just move on to the next match. Right, my notes. Where's my next page of notes? They're here. I'm even taking notes, guys, and everything. We get the women's championship match between Raquel Gonzalez defending... Well, she's with Dakota Kai, and I need to mention that. She is with Dakota Kai, and she is defending against Ember Moon. And the reason why I need to emphasize that Raquel Gonzalez is with Dakota Kai is because Dakota Kai may as well have just been in this match. It was one of those times where it makes the referee look a bit stupid. It gets quite annoying when you've got somebody that is constantly interfering in a match. But unfortunately, that's what we had to put up with here. Something I will talk about before I talk about this match is what I've got written here, which is there are far too many of these scared chicken-S heels in wrestling right now. You know, Omega plays that character. Even this is not just talking about champions either, guys. I'm talking overall. The MJF, the Kenny Omega he's doing it in Impact and in AEW. Nick Aldis is like it in the NWA. Seth Rollins is like it. There are multiple scared champions and heels in wrestling, and it just irritates me. You know, not everybody's got that thing of being Lashley or Roman, guys that kind of need a bit of assistance mentally, but physically they don't need that help that Kenny Omega needs. But honestly, can we just get a few unstoppable monster heels in wrestling who come out with the managers talk for them, and they just beat the crap out of people week after week? Can we get the second coming of Big Van Vader, Psycho Sid, the big guys, the clunky guys, the guys that can't wrestle, but they will hurt you? Can we get a few of these guys, men, guys that actually look like fully grown men who will beat the crap out of other people? Is Lesnar going to be coming back? Gosh, man, this is the problem with WWE overall and wrestling as a whole in 2021. It always leaves me asking too many questions, guys. Way too many questions, guys. And it becoming very, very irritating where it's like all three champions, yeah, are these, I'm not going to say monster, but they are these jacked up, physical guys who look like they will beat the crap out of a normal man. And then everybody else is this 205 pounds and less characters that just don't seem like believable heavyweight wrestlers throughout all of the shows. But a guy like Otis is stuck in the tag team division. Why? Angelo Dawkins stuck in the tag team division. Why? These guys need to be repackaged, and these guys need to be given pushers as single stars, along with the likes of guys like Cesaro. I'm going to be honest with you. I need guys like Sheamus to start looking small. I'm not talking about muscle men. I'm talking about just big, giant, burly, beat you up types of guys. Take the guitar and the stupidness away from Elias. Make this guy into a guy who just beats the crap out of good guys. Stop tweaking, stop changing, stop taking away this, then giving back this. It's annoying, yeah? I want to see men wrestle. I want to see real... In fact, not just men. I want to see women as like it. As I want to see Awesome Kong. I want to see Nyla Rose. I want to see these women as the champions and the top stars. And I want to see the likes of Britt Baker and the likes of Thunder Rosa going up against these giants and taking on and chopping down these redwood giants of women. And I want to see the men doing the same thing. I want to see actual stars going up against these absolute monsters. Guys like Lance Archer should be dominating divisions in wrestling. Guys like Brian Cage should be dominating divisions. And then there should be somebody who comes along, the likes of the Jungle Boys of this world, the likes of the Darby Allins. They should come along after 3 months of a reign of terror of Brian Cage just destroying people. And then they should beat the guy. Not randomly after 3 wins, Brian Cage is defeated. And it's the same with WWE as well. I don't want to see guys like Big E getting pinned on any show. Jeff Hardy, like, I'm going to say this now because I have noticed something as well. Notice how Jeff Hardy and all of a sudden Rey Mysterio are now back in the upper mid-card now. You seen that, guys? I'll give it 3 weeks and Jeff Hardy's going to be a challenger to Bobby Lashley. I guarantee you. Remember, I said that here right now because these morons that are running this company, they don't get it. They don't seem to get it. They have absolutely buried Jeff Hardy, and it took them to realize, we're having to get rid of stars that are not actually stars because they're never going to be stars in our environment. But we've got these guys on the roster that are actually stars. Oh, so why don't we push them? You know, that's a good question. Why don't we push guys like Jeff Hardy and Rey Mysterio? The guys that actually are going to sell tickets in the next few weeks. You think, come on guys, you think I'm stupid? You think I don't know what's going on here? Braun Strowman is not marketable anymore. Get rid of him. But yeah, all of a sudden, Jeff Hardy and Rey Mysterio, two of the biggest merchandise sellers in the WWE in the past 5 to 10 years, even though they haven't even been in the company for more than 5 years. Of the last 5 years, last decade, should I say, yeah? They haven't been in more than 5 out of the last 10 years, and they're still two of the biggest merchandise sellers in the last decade in WWE. Yeah, so it's not a coincidence, is it? WWE letting back in fans. Fans are going to be desperate to buy merchandise, and Jeff Hardy and Rey Mysterio are forefront in this merchandise thing. Seth Rollins, guys like, come on guys, you know what's happening right now. But the stars have to align for these shows. I'm going to finish up this review now and then what? Watch a 3-hour mediocre episode of Monday Night Raw that features nothing that I want to see apart from maybe a 4-minute segment of Bobby Lashley. And you know, you might get to see the champion wrestle because the champion shouldn't even be on the show at this point. Let's take the actual guy that's a star off the show and let's make everybody else actually try to be stars. But they bury everything around them so that nobody can become a star. So that then when it comes to guys actually getting over in the company, it's confusing to the fans that are watching at home because they're normally not the people that are being shown on TV as the actual stars of the company. Look no further than what was happening to Otis last year. They squashed him like a bug in WWE, man. They squashed him like a bug. And make no mistake that he would be the next guy on the chopping block for a release. The only reason they probably didn't release him is because it's too obvious that they buried him so quickly. Guys like Jeff Hardy and Rey Mysterio, they can be rehabilitated very easily, guys, because they're stars. Otis was a star for a brief minute and they stripped this guy down to the bare bones and gave him nothing. And now he's playing second fiddle to a guy that they don't even believe is believable in their company, in Chad Gable. But I have to stop the rant because I'm going to end up losing my head. This is about NXT. But yeah, the women, Raquel seems that she can't actually wrestle without help from Dakota. Eventually, Shotzi Blackheart came out and she fought with Dakota Kai and they fought to the back. And then in the end, Raquel was able to actually defeat Ember in the middle of the ring. I mean, like I say, guys, I'm going to be perfectly honest. There was nothing spectacular about this match. If that continues to happen where Raquel is just completely shown as a really scared female, despite her being almost a foot bigger than the woman that she's fighting against, I'll have no choice but to start skipping forward on these segments. I already warned you guys about the bad acting from some of the women in NXT. And I will not accept overbooked stupidness from NXT. You know, our group of WCW and TNA fan, there is absolutely no way in 2021 that I am accepting overbooked. I go mad. Like I was going mad the other day when Omega and the Young Bucks did that to Moose, because it just overbooked. Might not have sounded it in my video, but I definitely went mad about it after. But yeah, Raquel Gonzalez was able to successfully defend her NXT Women's Championship. There was a 5-way match for the NXT World title, or NXT Chat title. This was Karrion Kross, Killer Kross as I call him. So if I say Killer Kross, I mean Karrion Kross. He was defending against Kyle O'Reilly, Pete Dunne, Johnny Gargano, and Adam Cole Bay. I actually thought that Kross was going to lose. Thought he was going to lose and he was going to leave and go to SmackDown or Raw, preferably Raw. That was not the case, and I'll give you the outcome of this match straight away before I go into a complete and utter meltdown and rant again. Karrion Kross was able to successfully defend his NXT Championship. This, as I said, was a bit of a shock to me, because I was thinking that this was a way of getting the belt off Kross, so Kross could then go on to be an actual star elsewhere in the WWE, because how this guy, I mean, yeah, maybe it's because of his star power that he's being kept on NXT. But seriously, though, and you know what, I'm looking at that picture now and I'm saying, having looked at Raquel there in that picture there next to Kross, it would be stupid for people to believe that Kross would ever leave Scarlett. But, you know, you've got a champion there. If Kross, if they could somehow make that believable, those two do actually go together quite well, those evil looks. Maybe Kross needs something a little bit more physical going forward to help him. And, you know, Scarlett's not exactly the most physical person at ringside. And Kross is going to be a wanted man now. Let's be fair, if he's already taken on 5 people, where are we going now? If he's defeated 5 people, where do we go now with Kross? And I'll talk about something in a moment that they may be building to. I think you guys already know the rumours that are going around about a certain individual that was on commentary maybe taking over as the general manager of NXT, and it's because I'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, Kross, in this match, you've seen over the weeks that they've been talking about Kross not being as good in the ring as the other 5 people, the other 4 people in the ring, because of his style. And they did well to keep Kross out of the match. You know, these guys are faster and they do have more agility than Kross inside of the ring. But you all know what you're going to get from Kross. But there was also an element in this match of, remember Kevin Nash speaking about Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit and Jericho and all those. I'll be honest with you guys. Now more than ever, I can see that Nash had a very valid point 20 odd years ago about letting certain types of characters get to the main event. Now, of course, this is not a heavyweight championship. It's just a championship. So you can't really use the heavyweight thing there. But I'm going to be perfectly honest, guys. Kross isn't the biggest guy. He's a heavy set guy and he looks like a man. If he was 3 inches taller or 1.5 inches taller, 2 inches taller, let's say, this would have looked like at times, a giant just flipping around and flopping and slamming jobbers. Because these guys look like cruiserweights in the ring with a heavyweight. And that is a negative part for me. Who actually can defeat this guy? And if he's the guy that's got the backup and is the heel, what do these guys have to do? I mean, you had Kross. He's got a little thing with Adam Cole, but Adam Cole hasn't got any backup. Maybe it's time to put a few different people with Adam Cole. I did say previously that I thought that Gargano would actually win this match. So in my opinion, I think that Gargano could be the guy who actually defeats Kross in the end. He seems to be the guy that's going to need the help. The other 3 seem like they've got either the little man syndrome, where their balls are too big to tell them that they are outmatched by Kross, or they're too stupid to realise that in Kyle O'Reilly's case. But out of the 4 of them, I would say that Gargano's the one that would immediately, for me, if he was going one-on-one with Kross, he would try to get back up and he would try to get interference and help. I haven't watched this program long enough to tell you who's the most despicable out of these. I know Adam Cole a little bit, and I know who Pete Dunne is. The other two, I'm not so sure with. But since I've been watching, the one that looks like he really can't stand on his own is Johnny Gargano. He looks like he's going to need somebody help him to be able to defeat people. So out of the 4 of them, I would predict that maybe Gargano would end up being the one that would defeat Kross. Maybe it would be Pete Dunne. I'm not too sure. I don't really like the gimmick that Pete Dunne's got, this I'm the baddest man in NXT stuff. It drives me mad. It sounds like independent wrestling. He should kept that to NXT UK. I'm the baddest man in NXT UK. Like, he should have kept that to NXT UK. It's an OBS, Hilda, so I can't say hi to the cam. Like, I would have had to have set my OBS before so that you could see my face, and I don't even know how to do that. As about in future, I may put a picture of myself in the little square there with where you see the avatar of myself. I may do that. May. That is a may. Yeah, man, that is a may. It would have, like, say hi to the camera. This ain't your usual YouTube stream where it's like I can just switch from the cam. Maybe I can, I just don't know how to do it. I just ain't got a clue how to switch between these cameras on this. You know what I mean? Like, all I know is how to do is how to put a picture in the background and use the OBS. You could do that on Streamlabs. I know you could do it on Streamlabs, but I don't know if you can do it on Omla. I presume that you can. I presume if I put my camera right, you could see me in that little square at the bottom of the screen. But I'd have to work out how to do it, and I'd have to be confident enough to do it. I'd have to brush my hair first, and I'd have to, you know, I don't know, but I'm going to switch on this fan as well, guys, because I am absolutely roasting in this room. So if you get any weird noises in the background, guys, or if my voice slightly changes from now, it's because I've got the fan blasting on me. But yeah, the 5-way match was won by Kross. After the match, a very, very depressed looking and disheveled looking William Regal is trying to deal with all this chaos that's taking place. There's been chaos going on throughout the night. There was a segment with Top Row at some point. Hit Row, sorry, I keep calling them Top Row because of Top Dollar. Hit Row, there was a segment with them. There was other backstage segments that took place, guys, but I'm not really here to talk about the backstage stuff unless it's really important. Let me just see how long I've been going for. I've been going for just over an hour, I think. Yeah, I've been going for just over an hour. Have I been going for just over an hour? Have I been going just over an hour? Yeah, I've been going just over an hour. Fucking hell, I couldn't even get my words out. But yeah, William Regal. And also, I'll say this now, guys, the reason why this show is shorter is because the In Your House format has always been, I believe, 2 hours. I don't think that they ever made In Your House 3 hours. They may have done in the late 90s when it was an original thing towards the end. But In Your House, I think they did because they started charging a bit more for the In Your House shows in 96 and 97. But the original, hold on, guys. The original format to In Your House was 2 hour cheaper specials, so you didn't have to pay for the full pay-per-view. Back then, pay-per-views I think were $29.99, and these In Your House shows were $14.99 at the time. They're obviously on the WWE network now, but yeah, they've still kept the 2 hour format. I think from what I remember of watching In Your House, because I did see In Your House last year because I was intrigued because of all the Todd Pettengill and all that, and I remember it was one of the first times that I'd seen NXT separate from NXT just being this thing that was competing with the show that I liked, which was of course Dynamite. Now, you've got to understand, guys, I came to YouTube in the era of Dynamite being the hottest thing. So when Dynamite first kicked off in 2019 and I first started doing YouTube, NXT was just this thing that I'd heard rumors about. Like, I am the opposite of Tyrone. Like, Tyrone was a person who watched NXT and then he heard about AEW. I didn't know what NXT was. I'd heard things about NXT and I thought, hold on guys. I thought NXT was like this game show thing that was on, and it was in its early seasons or early history. NXT was a developmental like game show type program within the WWE. So I just kind of always just assumed it was still that. And then obviously someone started telling me that the show had got much better. I heard that guys like Samoa Joe had been in there. I was like, what? So obviously, you know, this brought my attention to NXT. But yeah, William Regal has apparently quit as the general manager of NXT. This is interesting because there have been some rumors today that there will be a superstar returning to the WWE who was recently apparently released, and that is Samoa Joe. I don't know if this is just some fantasy booking or if this is just the rumors or if he is the person that they have rumored in that because WWE fired him, Triple H decided, well, you know what, I actually want him to be part of NXT, so they brought him back, and that is Samoa Joe. Now, there are a lot of people online, especially the WWE fanboys out there and the optimistic WWE fans, which are the fanboys, of course. They are saying that they are happy with this decision, etc., etc., etc. I'm going to be perfectly honest, guys. And this is me just being totally down to earth. Why on earth, even in a general manager role, would Samoa Joe be given the general manager of NXT role when they have a former wrestler who was unknown to their whole fan base, apart from maybe the odd hardcore wrestling fan, not hardcore wrestling as in chairs and tables and barbed wire, I mean deep hardcore wrestling fan as in he'll watch basically any wrestling, who would be aware that Adam Pearce, the general manager or, you know, acting / general manager of Raw and SmackDown, the powers that be, with Sonya Deville, is actually, you know, a former NWA world champion, Ring of Honor world champion or whatever. A lot of people might be unaware of this. This is something that people might have only become aware of since Adam Pearce has been in the role on SmackDown and Raw. And, you know, the thing that was going on with him and Roman, etc. Why not just have Samoa Joe in that role from the start? And then there is questions of, could this be a chance for Samoa Joe to rehabilitate and be able to work out, you know, a way of being able to wrestle in the ring and maybe have a match here and there? Yeah, why can't he do that on the main roster? If they're going back on the road, this could be a way of saying, oh yeah, well, we don't really want Joe on the road wrestling every week. Don't have him wrestle every week then. It's the same people that moan about Sting being on TV every week, that moan when guys like Samoa Joe are not on TV every week. How is this? There has to be a balance. You can't ask for a guy like Sting to not be on TV every week when he draws tickets and people into the arena. But a guy like Joe, who isn't necessarily a ticket draw, but is somebody who people want to see, he can't, people won't accept that he's not on the show it's nonsense. Tell me, where are these attractions now in WWE? There's no more Big Show. There's no more Mark Henry. And that's not just what these WWE have done to these characters. That's overall because WWE doesn't want or didn't want at the time to pay for these attractions. They don't want to turn guys like Braun Strowman, who was on a 5-year contract. They don't want to turn him into an Andre the Giant attraction who only turns up once every month, beats the crap out of somebody like The Miz who's talking crap, choke slam, you know, running power slam, 1, 2, 3, Braun Strowman goes away for the next 6 weeks. The next guy comes along, Sami Zayn talking crap, Braun Strowman comes out, beats him up, shuts him up, puts him down. You know, when you need to get a guy off television for a few weeks, Braun Strowman's the guy to get them off TV. Why can't we get these characters anymore? I said it earlier on. Where are these guys that just beat the holy hell out of other people? These guys that just, you know, I'll say it now. I don't care. I don't care if Vader and those guys were known as stiff, or, you know, guys that would potentially hurt other wrestlers in the ring. I don't care. Because these guys, like they say, some of these guys are jumping around, doing backflips, landing on their head unnecessarily, all this kind of stuff. So if they're willing to do that, then why are they willing to not just get the crap beaten out of them? Randy Orton was. John Cena was. And these guys are known as sports entertainers, not even wrestlers, guys. And as much as we can all criticize these, and we can criticize some of the wrestlers for being, you know, less realistic and more, you know, sports entertainment, I would like to see Lashley go in there and just beat the crap out of a few lower guys every so often. It doesn't mean anything, but still it gets to show what Lashley is. We need, at some point, we have to hit the reset button, I think. Maybe what they're trying to do with guys like William Regal leaving is they are trying to hit the reset button and make it so that there is a slot and a spot for every single person that needs to be in that spot, rather than, you know, like years gone by. I think some of these wrestlers have become so watered down. They are all in the wrong position. So many of them are in the wrong place, on the wrong brand, in the wrong situation, in the wrong gimmicks. There is just so much of this within the WWE right now. And this is what you get. You get guys like me, who I want to come here and give a more formatted rundown of these shows, and I do try. But the more and more that they go on, I turn into Jim Cornette halfway through, where I can't help but just bury what I'm seeing on TV, because it's ridiculous, guys. And you can't tell me that it's not. You can't tell me that me sitting here watching guys that are being shown to me as being underneath talent. These NXT characters are underneath talent. Because how good are these guys supposed to be if they can't even get on the main roster? And you can feed me with as much nonsense about, oh, well, they chose to be in NXT, like Tommaso Ciampa and guys like that. Yeah, fair enough. But that's not what we're being shown on television week after week. We're being shown that these guys are comfortable as mid-talent in the third brand of the main company in professional wrestling. What is that even supposed to mean? What exactly is that even supposed to mean at this point, guys? Are you seriously telling me that the NXT champion is higher on the pecking order than the NWA or Impact champions? How? I may like NXT more than I like some of the other companies, but when you're talking realistic rankings in 2020 of who is the best champions in wrestling right now, it's all upside down. Because I'd probably say that Aldis is the strongest champion, then Lashley, then Roman, or maybe Roman, then Lashley, depending on how you look at things, because Roman hasn't really had challenges that seem believable to me, if I'm perfectly honest. Lashley's had McIntyre and Braun Strowman to fend off, whereas, you know, Reigns seems to have been, you know, people could say Daniel Bryan and Cesaro, but when you look at the way that Reigns has been booked, they're not that believable as beating Reigns. If it'd be maybe a Big E straight off the Intercontinental Championship run had taken on Reigns, that may have been a problem to Roman Reigns. And I would have still expected Roman Reigns to come out on top. But I'm just talking about in the order of what? So you've got Aldis, you've got Reigns, you've got Lashley, you've got Kross, you've got Omega, because I've got to put Omega down there. Because even though he's a dual champion, he's the biggest, he's the most protected, as in the way of he needs other people to help him. People would say Reigns is a little bit like that, but no, Reigns still goes in there and gets the job done. But yeah, Aldis needs help sometimes, but let's be perfectly honest. When you're talking a 900-day reign, Aldis is the strongest. How, if you rank these characters, if Kross is maybe the 4th or 5th ranked champion in wrestling right now, without including the New Japan champion or anyone like that, what are these guys fighting for? Because, Omega might be rated, in my opinion, as a lower champion than Kross, but that's only the gimmick. The AEW championship is far more prestigious than the NXT championship, in my opinion, because of the fact that AEW has characters in AEW that I would say are world champion caliber wrestlers in any company that they would go to. I just don't know if NXT has those wrestlers. Outside of Kross, who would you even consider is a certified guarantee to be a world champion elsewhere? And don't give me this Adam Cole stuff. Nah. There's a reason why Adam Cole is in NXT still. I just don't think he's believable as a WWE or a Universal Champion. And now that they've started throwing around that heavyweight word on SmackDown, Cole's got no chance of beating Roman Reigns, I don't think. But when you look at the companies that these guys are in, it's a bit upside down, isn't it? The two biggest companies have got the two strongest champions, but they've got the worst rosters. The next two have got weaker rosters in Nick Aldis and Kross. They've got the weakest rosters, but they've also got like the best booked, as in like the champions that are the ones that you actually can't see them being defeated by anyone in any singles match. Now, I know what I said about Lashley and Roman Reigns before, but there are characters that are in the WWE, like Drew McIntyre and like Sheamus and like guys like that, that you actually could see defeating these guys. Whereas on NXT, I just don't see anyone defeating Kross. There's not many people in the NWA. In fact, there's nobody in the NWA that I can see defeating Nick Aldis. But when it comes to Impact and AEW, there are so many champions people that look like they could be a champion before or over Omega. That's what I'm on about when I say I may rank Omega as a lower champion because of his character, but make no mistake that Omega is in a company full of guys that probably would be better champions than him. As regards to the rest of them, they're all champions that nobody else can really replace them. So are they just token champions? Are they default champions? Is this the booking of WWE? Is my confusion being caused by the booking of these stars in WWE and to a certain extent in the NWA, because I've complained before about there not being enough viable challengers to Nick Aldis' championship? Once you get to that pinnacle, and remember, like I said, in the past, the Hulk Hogan era is dead. It's very difficult to build somebody like Lashley and Kross and Roman Reigns as the champion and have absolutely nobody able to defeat these people. Because, and I'll say it once again, who? There are people that are believable, but I just don't know if they're in the right positions to defeat these people. And then you've got a guy like an Omega who is swimming in a company full of about 25 people who could be the champion. What do you want to see, guys? Do you want to see a guy that clearly needs help, that could be defeated at any time by a better wrestler and bigger stars? Or do you want to see guys that are nowhere near being challenged by anyone in their company and they're just coasting because there's nobody to actually be able to compete with them? You can book the champion so strong sometimes that it makes the rest of the company look weak. And that is exactly what we're seeing in NXT. That is exactly what we're seeing in WWE. This is 1980s style booking. The champions can't be defeated. They will cheat and cheat and cheat to win if necessary. I don't know what you guys think. But if you look at it, every other championship has been changed in the last few months, apart from the big championships. They are what they are. I can't get in. I'm from the UK, but I can't get into NXT UK because this is the problem. If you was here earlier on, you would have known that I would have said there's just too much of this wrestling going on right now. And then it becomes where I don't know who to take seriously. I like Walter, but why is Walter not the guy fighting against Kross? I understand the pandemic, but these guys are tested. They work for the company. Why does Walter not come over and fight against the only person that is viable to fight against him, and the only person that's viable to accept him as a viable opponent, and that's Kross? These two should have been on a collision course a long time ago, but this is the booking structure of the WWE. The champions are booked so strong that the rest of the roster is suffering. And now we are going to see the resurgence of Jeff Hardy and Rey Mysterio because these guys sell tickets and these guys sell shirts. But then what about the likes of Keith Lee? This is why Aleister Black doesn't have a job no more. This is why Braun Strowman doesn't have a job no more. Because the company can't book these guys right. I've been saying it for the whole of this review. The only way that WWE is going to be able to defeat these champions, they need to build wrestlers from the bottom. Why Otis is still being suffocated in this tag team as a heel with, what's his name? What's this guy's name? Chad Gable, yeah? When Otis should be the biggest babyface on SmackDown fighting against Roman Reigns. I don't get it. And then on Raw, there are multiple characters that should be going up against Roman Reigns, but we constantly keep seeing Drew McIntyre. And I'm saying it here once again. Wait for it. Wait for Jeff Hardy to become the #1 contender, because there's absolutely no way that they're going to overlook Jeff Hardy versus Bobby Lashley now they're going back on the road. But does anyone remember Jeff Hardy being pinned clean in the middle of the ring by Jackson Riker like 4 weeks ago? Come on. This is the kind of thing that will make me lose my mind. Now WWE, oh God, oh, please don't. Please don't. This is what I'm trying to say. WWE, shout out to Kevin as well in the chat. WWE going to bring back John Cena to face Roman Reigns. Why? Why can't Killer Kross? Why can't Kross fight against Roman Reigns? I did not ask you to show your... I did shout out on my video and I asked you to say hi to my camera. I don't get it. Like what? You mean just say hi as in hello? Shout out to Hilda's DC. Shout out to Hilda's camera. Shout out to Hilda's live. Click that, Hilda. But yeah, my word, guys. I am getting to the point where... And it is... I said it earlier on, it is this point. If one goes, all of them go. And I mean that. If one go, then all of them go. If NXT goes, Raw and SmackDown are gone as well. This AEW versus WWE war, it's an imaginary thing to me. Because there's no comparison. I don't care about what people say about AEW. I just like it better. The booking in WWE. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I like the ADHD, ADD, Adderall booking of AEW because I can't take this much longer. And this wasn't even a bad show. It's just because why have Kross retain the belt against 4 people? Who on earth comes into this company now and beats Kross. Oh, they're bringing Samoa Joe into NXT, yeah, as the general manager. Oh, I'm gonna end up getting a headache, because I'm not even gonna lie. I've now got to imagine, guys, that I'm gonna now go on and have to watch Raw, and it's just gonna be the same Alexa Bliss and her doll trolling the fans. It's embarrassing. They will never. If they do this in front of the live audience, you will see. So they're getting all this out of the way right now before the live audience come back. And this was supposed to be a review of NXT in your house, and it did take place at the start of the episode, guys, but the last 20 minutes I've just been ranting about WWE because, like I said, at this point, I am sick of it. I didn't even watch this live because I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. And NXT's not actually that bad. But take all of the characters from NXT and put them on Monday Night Raw and see how different that show feels on Monday nights. WWE announced Eva Marie versus Naomi tonight. So yeah, Eva Marie's going to defeat Naomi tonight. Eva Marie, a well-known, I can't wrestle character that is there for just looks and whatever, because they're going back to the live audience, as I said, is going to defeat one of the most underutilized and one of the most underrated talents in WWE. Why can't Eva Marie come back and defeat Alexa Bliss? And the reason why I greeted that with silence is because that's what that is, guys. Tumbleweed. This is WWE tumbleweed. Let me show you what WWE, the reaction to WWE is. Static background ASMR noise. That's what WWE is right now. Remember the Edge versus Randy Orton match from last year at WrestleMania with the golf commentary? That's WWE in my head right now. It's just this stale, boring thing. And the best they can come up with is, oh, we're going to have Eva Marie defeat Naomi tonight. Oh, my word. But you know, couldn't keep Mandy Rose on SmackDown. Couldn't keep Mandy Rose as Otis's manager on SmackDown. Had to put her on Raw. Now we barely see her. Couldn't just leave Otis alone to be a face and carry on and build him up to what he is and have him now as a believable challenger to Roman Reigns, potentially the only believable challenger apart from maybe Big E, who they don't seem to be doing anything with on SmackDown. Now, bearing in mind, they could be building Big E for the main event push so he gets to go up against Roman. But then the problem that we have there is this, guys. That means that Big E certifiably has to defeat Roman Reigns. Has to defeat him. Because if he doesn't defeat him, he's dead in the water. What do you then do with Big E after that? It's almost like this company is scared to build people beyond their nonsense of a glass ceiling. This ceiling that people are now crouching down to fit in the room below. And like I say, I repeat, I may consider that the WWE champions are the biggest champions in wrestling. Well, I'd say that Aldis is probably the biggest champion, as in the way that he's booked because of the length of time that he's been the champion. But you know, the WWE champions are solid champions. The WWE, the Universal and NXT champions are solid champions. But tell me, somebody write it in my comments now. Anyone, tell me now, who is going to defeat these champions? Who? Because there is absolutely no one on this day. Tell me who now. Who is believable right now in a singles match that is going to defeat any of the three champions in WWE? Because they don't book these guys correctly. They booked the champions correctly. By all means, if you want to see a program that is based around the 1984 to 1987 run of Hulk Hogan never losing a match, by all means, tune into WWE Raw, SmackDown and NXT, because their champions are not getting defeated. On this very show, the champion successfully retained against 4 different people. 4 different people. And it wasn't an elimination match. This was anyone can win at any time. You know what? To be honest, I'm swearing now. I'm absolutely furious at that decision. But it's not because I don't like Kross. It's because it made sense to me for somebody else to beat Kross or defeat somebody else, and then Kross becomes the guy who never lost the belt by being pinned. But Kross can then go on to face Roman Reigns or to face Bobby Lashley. And then maybe, you know, Gargano gets his chance as being the champion. Because the other 4 people in the ring, they're cruiserweights to me. I'm sorry, I've got to say this now because I'm getting mad. Yeah? It's bad enough that they want me to believe that these guys are not cruiserweights when they are. And then the whole $1 million championship thing, which is technically a heavyweight championship, but it's for all these guys to actually fight against somebody who they could be believable to actually fight against, which would be Eli Drake, obviously LA Knight. But then it makes no sense because you've already got too many championships on this NXT show. Eli Drake needs to get the hell out of NXT. He needs to be guaranteed at least a 6-month run on one of the other shows, potentially on Monday Night Raw. As I said, like, either him or Kross needs to end up on Monday Night Raw as soon as possible. Raw is just threadbare of stars. Threadbare. Look at the Monday Night Raw roster. Why do you think Jeff Hardy's getting a push again? Because the roster's just so thin. How can you release Braun Strowman and Aleister Black from this company, man? That's just some of the dumbest things. Bearing in mind that I'm not even going to get into SmackDown and how they literally have no good guys on SmackDown, where Rey Mysterio is pulling double duty now on SmackDown as a tag team champion and also the biggest babyface in the company, on the show. And now Jeff Hardy's also getting thrust into that role. Like, 1 minute Jeff Hardy's with... Think about it. You think it's a coincidence, guys? You think it's a coincidence, guys? Jeff Hardy is in a tag team with Riddle. WWE then decide that they're going back on the road. After Jeff Hardy has already been defeated by Jackson Ryker, they then take Jeff Hardy out of the Hardy Bros. They put Randy Orton in that role, and then Jeff Hardy is rehabilitated and repackaged back into the charismatic Enigma, and all of a sudden Jeff Hardy's beating Cedric Alexander, another wrestler that was getting a push previous to this, or seemed that he was. Jeff Hardy's defeating him, and what are the chances that within a few weeks Jeff Hardy will be the #1 contender to Bobby Lashley's championship? And there is no other reason for that apart from, oh, we're getting fans back, we need to sell tickets, we need to sell t-shirts. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. Why was Jeff Hardy being treated like garbage a month ago, but now all of a sudden WWE needs stars? Oh, this is where it will cause a breakdown in my mind. No wonder I've not been watching SmackDown for the last 2 weeks. No wonder I've not been watching, you know, sometimes I can't even watch Dynamite live because SmackDown put me to sleep on Friday night. And then here I am now, supposed to be talking about NXT TakeOver, but I can't tell you a thing about what happened now. Unless I read the notes, I can't tell you a thing. Because all I am is just mad about what has happened with the booking process. And the fact is, all this left me thinking now I'm looking at the screen now is, well, who actually can take on this guy? Let me have a look at the comment section, guys. Sorry about that. Give me another match between Keith Lee and Karrion Kross. Yeah, well, they don't want to use Keith Lee, right? I don't know what's going on with Keith Lee. I've heard some disturbing rumours about Keith Lee. Maybe something to do with some kind of abuse or something like that. But I don't know if that's true. Yeah, the problem is, they haven't got any past wrestlers because these guys have all jumped ship and gone elsewhere. Because 6 months ago, WWE decided 6 months ago to start treating guys like Mark Henry and The Big Show, regardless of what you think about them guys, they started to treat these guys like crap 6 months ago. No idea, Hilda. I've refreshed a couple of times and I've had ads. So it may just be I don't know. It may just be a timing thing. Whoever clicks on at the certain time will get an ad, and whoever, you know, if somebody gets an ad, then you won't get an ad. I got an ad not long ago, to be honest. But yeah, like I said, guys, I can keep this running all night, but I'm not. I used to do, you know what, this is so mad. This is so crazy. I used to do this before I had any people on my channel, yeah? Like, before I had anyone on my channel, I had like 60 subscribers to my channel. And I used to go live and I'd start talking about Raw, and sometimes I'd just get to the point where I would just stop halfway through the review and I would just start just ripping in to the show. Best way, I think, to see that probably would be, Hilda, after the streams ended, wait a couple of minutes, click off, and then click back on, because I'm going to check to see if I can change what the ads are doing, because there's something I have to be able to select. On these longer videos, you can select what kind of ads pop up. So if it's only got selected ads and limited ads, that means only limited ads are going to pop up. But yeah, like I say, yeah, that's what I'm saying. What, blame the fans that you're now going to go back into stadiums and con out of their hard-earned money because you know that they're desperate to see this thing that they love, and you're going to go back in there and blame them. You're blaming them after force-feeding the Alexa Bliss nonsense down our throats, after releasing multiple people from the company. How can this be the fault of the fans? It's disturbing stuff like that that makes me just like, this company is just not with it. But bearing in mind, this is the same company that was calling the company that sells 200,000 pay-per-views every month or every 6 weeks. They were calling them a pissant company a few months ago. It's a joke, guys. It's a joke. WWE is a joke. It's a joke, and it will never be anything else apart from being a joke. It's laughing at you. It's laughing at me. It's laughing at itself. It's laughing at the inner structure of what WWE is supposed to be. They honestly must hate the fans. Like, apparently it's now our fault of all the problems that WWE has got. It's embarrassing. Triple H ought to be ashamed of himself. Ought to be ashamed of himself. Knowing damn well that he got where he got. I need to go and get my asthma pump, I'm not even going to lie. A guy who, knowing damn well that he got what he got in his career through being in the right place at the right time, and he sees how difficult that this is. They need to, how's about book the show differently? How's about book the show completely differently and then moan about what fans are talking about? Because I don't know about you guys, but I've been waiting nearly a year to turn on this program and finally see something different. And it's just not happening. Hold on, guys. Yeah, it's just not happening, guys. Like I say, WWE just doesn't seem interested in the opinions or in the feelings of their fans. Because this is the thing, guys. And I said this about the NWA recently with their nonsense with that tag team match where the guy clearly kicked out and they tried to make out like he didn't kick out when he did. Yeah, it was a convoluted, overbooked mess, yeah. I buried them because they insulted my intelligence. And this is the stuff that I'm on about. Why should NXT and WWE be able to get away with it? Which they don't, obviously. They don't, because I do bury them quite a lot. But you know what I'm on about, guys. No company should be safe from that. And I'd also, you know what, guys? I also want to talk about something that's not to do with WWE right now. I am going to mention this because it's in my mind right now. Jack Evans, you are an absolute moron. The biggest, I didn't realise how much that this guy is actually known as a botchy wrestler, but apparently his nickname on the independent scene or in the, you know, IWC, the international wrestling community or internet wrestling community or whatever they call it, is the human botch machine, Jack Evans. Now, I never knew that before today, but I was listening to the Cornette video from the other day where he talks about Jack Evans, and I was absolutely gobsmacked to see that Jack Evans has the absolute cojones and the nuts to ever call out any professional wrestler in professional wrestling, because he is a clown. He's a wrestler that's been botching moves since 2005. He came through as part of that, oh, this guy can do loads of flips and loads of things now. Well, I'm hoping guys like Jack Evans are happy that he never managed to become even 10% of the star that they were talking like he would be. They were talking in 2006 like he was the next coming of, like, you know, the British Bulldog, as regards to being like a British star. I think he's from Britain. He's either British or Australian, but I remember them talking like this guy was like the next big thing in, you know, international superstar from wherever. It was when he used to do dates in TNA, and because he got a little name for himself in Mexico because he could wrestle the Mexican style, and because he's obviously not from America. It's embarrassing, guys. Guys like him even speaking up in professional wrestling. Like, apparently he's trying to tell Lance Storm something about wrestling. Now, I think Lance Storm is a bore, and I think that Lance Storm is a very overly negative pro wrestler who maybe is a little bit bitter about what happened in his career because he was never the star that he wanted to be. And of course, you know, Lance Storm being stiff as a concrete post in his wrestling career. Not as in stiff as in like stiff moves. I mean stiff as in like no personality. That would have worked now. And I think he is a little bit bitter about the fact that his gimmick would have worked 10 years before, or 15 years before he debuted, and 15 years after he was actually a star in wrestling. His gimmick would have actually worked pretty well. Because those kind of just in-ring wrestlers who get the job done now, they're quite popular, to be honest. And I like two guys who can go in there. And that's one of the reasons why I was drawn to NXT originally, is because I've seen that wrestlers would just go in there and actually wrestle. But it has become, since they went on USA Network, it's become just a light version of WWE Raw. It's basically the third hour of WWE Raw and the first hour of WWE SmackDown. Or, you know, vice versa. It's the first hour of Raw and the second hour of SmackDown. So half of NXT is, you know, a convoluted backstage segment which no one really understands what's going off, with characters like Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell. And the other half of NXT is, you know, very serious natured wrestlers who you wouldn't want to mess around with, who will probably beat you up if they actually seen you in a real life situation to be able to handle themselves. And then the women are people who can barely talk in backstage segments and barely act or anything like that, but they are quite talented in the ring, as opposed to the main roster women, which are women that can really wrestle, that are being put into gimmicks that they should have no business being in. But yet, of course, they won't be sent down to NXT to portray these women, which they actually probably would be stars in NXT. And I'm speaking of the likes of Naomi. And I'm speaking of the likes of, maybe Naomi doesn't want to be on the road, but she's not on the same roster as her husband. So why wouldn't she want to be on NXT? And then wrestlers like Liv Morgan, who are just twiddling their thumbs, and wrestlers like Mandy Rose, who are just twiddling their thumbs. Why can't they go back to NXT or be in NXT and just be on the NXT roster? And then you send, you know, Raquel Gonzalez, Dakota Kai, and one other woman to the main roster from NXT. Obviously, people like Ember Moon, they asked to be in NXT. So yeah, luckily for them, they were granted their wish. But I think more people from the main rosters need to be in NXT. More people from the main roster needs to be, from NXT need to be on the main roster. And we need a shake-up. And as for guys like Jack Evans, is the reason why you are not currently being seen on episodes of Dynamite. And it's because of guys like me, because I crapped on you and I called you out about 6 months ago when I said, why on earth is Jack Evans being shown on Dynamite? Because he's a botch king. And, you know, like I said, I can sit here and I can crap all over NXT and all their wrestlers, but you won't see that kind of messy stuff in NXT. nor should you be seeing that on AEW Dynamite. Then it just goes to show, though, doesn't it, guys? At least they, in AEW, understand that guys like Jack Evans need to be firmly in a tag team. There's no way for him to be anything else. Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly were a tag team, pretty good tag team from what I remember. Don't know why they've been broken up. I don't know what the future is for these characters. I mean, I've not really seen Bobby Fish since he was defeated by somebody a few weeks ago. Pete Dunne, I think he was defeated by. An example of, you know, not getting your booking priorities right. Adam Cole had the full faction around him and they were taken away from him, and now he doesn't seem as believable now. He hasn't got the faction behind him. Kross is this undefeatable monster who, at this point, there's no real challenges to him. Like Kevin said in the chat, he'd like to see Keith Lee go back to NXT, but Keith Lee is another example of what exactly is going on with Keith Lee. Is he going to be the next guy that we're going to see advertised as released by WWE? I don't know. But I'm just going around in circles right now, guys. I'm just keeping this so that it runs into the bait territory of people actually thinking that it might be the NXT show. I don't really know what else to say, guys. I've had my rant about WWE, and I'm even going to add that into the title now and let people know that this was a very hefty rant about WWE, because I've now got to go sit down. I can't just relax. I'm going to go now, after feeling like this, and attempt to watch WWE Raw. It's just not happening. You know what I mean? It's just not happening. Oh yeah, for sure, Hilda, definitely for sure. You need to. I need to run your live from yesterday anyway. So, in fact, after I finish this in a minute, I'll run your live from yesterday. So, thingy, because I'm only going to be sitting here over the next hour or two watching Raw anyway. So it's not like I'm going to be too busy. I may do a few updates because I want to keep an update on the Alexa Bliss thing, because that seems to be quite popular at the moment. And of course, now I'm running the adverts. I of course want people to be on my channel, and you know, I need these freeloaders to realize that they are part of what I built here. You know, shout out to every single person who told me that I would never amount. Oh, they're not going to use her. Why would she be used on SmackDown for? Didn't she beg to go back to NXT? Oh no, that was Mercedes Martinez, wasn't it? That was Mercedes Martinez. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to dedicate this one to all of the freeloaders, because the freeloaders don't seem to realize how they've helped this channel. I had a video that I put up the other day with 30,000 views, yeah? People didn't like it because they didn't get to see a guy collapse to the floor. You know, these freeloaders make me sick, yeah? And I'm telling you now, they're going to start paying stuff for me. Like, I'm not even going to lie. I'm not even going to lie, guys. I'm going to start running. Oh, yeah, by the way, guys, another reminder that there is an ongoing, and I will officially announce it, the Xbox Live competition. You know, most of you will be just entered automatically. You know, if your sons or daughters or nieces, nephews have got an Xbox and, you know, you're not a gamer, let me know in the comment section of the videos that I post, because I'll keep reminding people. But most of the gaming people will be entered automatically anyway, because, you know, there's no point in doing an Xbox giveaway or Xbox Game Pass giveaway without there being Xbox people involved that can give it to anyone, you know what I mean? But, I mean, people can enter because somebody else could give it away on their channel as well. You know, all you need really is the code. Just don't use the code. It's all the same, Hilda. Freeloaders, trolls, they're all the same. It's just because the trolls set out to disrupt your channel because they think that they're causing harm by being toxic because of your headline. Like, imagine I put NXT up now. If someone came into my chat now and started being like, where's the goddamn video? Where's the video? And all this kind of nonsense, yeah? Then that's the troll. But freeloaders are these people that they will not help any wrestling whatsoever. they actually think that YouTube is the only way of watching wrestling. And then what they do is they are so confident in themselves that they set out to try and be tough in your comment section by saying something stupid. But all in all, these freeloaders and these geniuses, as I've said hundreds of times, can't actually work out, yo, dude, you've got internet, yeah? Yeah. You've got a device, yeah? Yeah. So why don't you go on your browser and find how to watch the episode that you're looking to watch without paying for it? Not that I'm advocating that here, but it does make me quite annoyed when you get these, oh, I was looking forward to watching this video. Well, sorry, dude, you can't watch that here. Get a life, get a job, pay to watch wrestling. How many times? I swear in the end, I may even try and get one of these t-shirt companies to make a t-shirt that's like, one side it says, get a life, get a job. Other side it says, pay for wrestling. But yeah, as I said, guys, this video, this live stream has been brought to you by the anti-freeloading society or community or whatever I said it was in the original video when I had this idea. And not only that, but going forward, you freeloaders who are now experiencing the power of the anti-freeloading society / community or whatever I said it was in the original video are going to have to start supporting this stream to freeload your nonsense. You are lucky I was tired last night. You are lucky that I couldn't be bothered to do the NXT reviews and updates. Shout out to Christopher Mace. You needed and you deserved the watch time that you got for your videos last night. Shout out to Tyrone Morgan. You needed and you deserved the advert support and monetization support that you got for your videos last night without me blocking up the feed with my stuff. But going forward, I will teach every single one of you freeloaders a lesson. For every single comment that I get that is negative on my channel, I will do 50 uploads going forward. There will be no more breaks. There will be no more stops. The only way that you losers will get stopped from having to deal with, hey guys, how's it going at the start of your video, is if WWE drives me away. So you better hope and pray that this program gets worse. You better hope and pray that Raw is bad tonight. Because I am telling you, let Brock Lesnar return. Let The Rock return. Let John Cena return. You go to watch that video and I'm telling you, let CM Punk return. And the first thing you're going to hear is, hey guys, how's it going? I can guarantee you that. Please like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.